Today we're looking at the Windlass Signature Series Arbedo. So this one is an improved version of the previous one to give some specs up close looks and some cutting performance with this one from Windlass. All right, first impressions on the Windlass Signature Series Arbedo. First of all, it's just a really good looking sword in the first place. We have a wood cord, leather bound scabbard with a metal tip. It's stitched on the back. And it's just nicer to have the wood core rather than just the leather itself, especially for if you're in a humid climate. It's also going to protect from the edge potentially cutting through, and it just looks better if you have this on a sword stand. So drawing this one out, this one is a 1075 high carbon steel. It's double edged. This one's been sharpened. These come unsharpened to us in the from Windlass. So if you do want to do cut testing, how you're going to see perform in this video, make sure to add a sharpening service to do that. The edge that we put on there is plenty sharp in order to cut through tatami mats, water bottles, soft appropriate targets for cut testing, things like that. Something that I really like about this one, I'm going to put the scabbard down, is how beefy the blade is. It looks kind of like an Alexandria sword, if you've ever seen those before, where they're really wide toward the guard. And this has a variety of advantages. The larger cuts off of the single hand, you can use it with two hands. The handle ends up being a little bit short for that, but I could see for extra force, maybe for, you know, if you did want to go on some more of like a two-handed guard, or if you wanted to perform something with more force, you're gonna probably grab it more toward the pommel than you would bringing this all together, because this can kind of limit the manipulation of the wrist. But having that on the pommel, I could see that working for steering and for parrying, and definitely for larger cuts with a lot more power. Me personally, I prefer this one with a single hand, as you're going to see performed in the cut testing. I didn't work a lot of forehand on the open, but it still does fly really well. That's signature to the distal taper that they've adjusted with this one. We've got a peened disc pommel and a wood cord leather wrapped handle that tapers down. We can see that it's thicker here, and then it tapers down into a skinnier portion here. So if you did want that extra grip, but I will say that when you're on the single grip, I like toward the pinky and the notch that's right here, this thicker one. I like that it kind of bites into that toward the ring finger and toward the pinky. Let me show that a little closer. Whoop. That is a nice little security of grip. It's a beefy one to move through different guard positions. If you are in high thrust positions, I find it in the center to be comfortable. You will feel the pommel touching toward the forearm a little bit as you transition, especially when you go into a backhand position. Again, I don't find that to be much of a problem at all. So those are my first impressions on it. It's a wide, beefy blade, kind of more into like the bastard sword category. It's not quite a long sword, but it's not quite an arming sword, but it's definitely in the beefier category. It's kind of like an arming sword on steroids with a little bit longer of a handle. So those are my first impressions on it. I think they've done a really great job on improving this one from the scabbard, steel quality, and also the distal taper. And it's a heck of a cutter. So let's do some up close looks of this one in the scabbard, out of the scabbard, and then run a cut testing. Overall length 39 5/8 inches, blade length 30 13/16 of an inch. Weight is 2 pounds, 15.5 ounces. The edge is plenty sharp. Width is 75 millimeters, with a thickness going from 4.1 to 3.1 millimeters. Got a peen pommel. Point of balance is 3 5/8 from the guard. Grip length is 6 inches. 1075 high carbon steel, manufactured by Windlass. Looking at a little bit of movement, working through cut, thrust, different guard positions. It moves very sharp, and then I've worked a little bit of two-handed work as well, working some parries. I definitely prefer it in a single-handed grip, even with the pommel sometimes brushing my arm hair when I'm going into like a reverse cut. It still doesn't really get in the way, so I'm not really worried about it, you know, like bumping in to my forearm when the pommel bumping into my forearm when I'm doing cutting. It's got a real smooth cut on it and a transition into thrust. Here's a look at the cut testing on the reverse cuts. Notice those downward cuts are super powerful, even for this one tapering quite a bit toward the tip. I thought I'd mix it up doing an upward cut. The backhand horizontal, I didn't really get nearly as much follow through as I wanted with it. It still chopped the mat like halfway. All right, that's it for the Windlass Signature Series Arbedo. If you want to pick this one up, click the link in the description below this video to pick this one up today at kultofathena.com. Make sure, remember, that these come to us unsharpened from Windlass. So if you want to add a sharpening service to this one, make sure to add that before checkout, so that way you can get serviced. Take a couple extra days, but it'll still be functionally sharp for your cutting practice, for your fencing training. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. I'm your host, Tom, for Kult of Athena's YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next review.